guys, welcome back to Most Minute. Thanks again for being patient while I took a brief recess to celebrate my husband's birthday. We both appreciated it. And then I also came back with a bunch of new material for next time we go to Virginia City. So there's that as well. Um, so today we are talking about Russell City, which is the Bay Area's actually lost city. That's why you see me again in my living room because there's literally nothing left. Um, so yeah, Russell City is a lost city, 100% a lost city. The only trace of it that remains, three things, and I'll talk more about these. Um, there's a mural on A Street and Maple that I have pictures of, and I'll attach to them. I'll attach them at the end of this. I promise I won't forget like I did with the e-giver vibe video. There is also a desk. I have a picture of that as well, and a few other artifacts that are now on display in the Hayward History Museum. And there is a place called the Russell City Energy Center. That's a renewable energy facility that was it began in 2013, but it stands where Russell City once stood. So anyone who's familiar with the East Bay, with Hayward, um, knows that there is an airport there. And Russell City, when it existed, was basically right up against the airport. It was from like East Winton Avenue to and Hesperian to the airport. So it's a not a huge chunk, but a sizable tract of land. Um, and so Russell City, it was always unincorporated. And it was founded, most people believe it was founded in 1853. And it was named after a teacher from New England who was named Joel Russell. And he came out here during the gold rush. But it didn't really start to get popular until around World War II. The years during the war and then the years immediately after the war. Part of the reason why is because there were a lot more people in the area after that. There were the shipyards in Richmond, and people were working at the shipyards who could not find housing elsewhere in the city because of their race. So most of the people, probably all of the people who lived in Russell City were minorities. African Americans, a lot of Latin Americans. And so they would go to Russell City because they experienced so much racism in trying to find houses elsewhere. And then, like I said, during the Second World War, people who worked at the shipyards in Richmond would live there. A lot of braceros lived there as well. It was a big farming community, very agriculture based. Um, where was I? Okay, so you've probably guessed by what I said that it was a lower income area. And one of the reasons why homes were, well, probably the reason why homes were so cheap in Russell City is because they had no services. There was no plumbing, there was no electricity, there was no sewage. Um, oh, and I forgot to mention, one of the people who lived there was Ernesto Nava, who was the son of Pancho Villa, like the real Pancho Villa. But I digress. So yeah, no conditions, no sewage, no plumbing, no electricity. And the residents tried to appeal to Alameda County to bring the services in, but they were repeatedly denied. Um, so obviously conditions were deplorable, but people really loved living there. It was a really close-knit community. It was kind of like those, like, I mean, I guess that might be like typical of the years everywhere, but I think it was especially close knit there because people kind of bonded together. No one had anything that the others did not have. So everyone just kind of bonded together. Um, and it was a huge music scene. They had like a jazz club, and they were really tough critics. It was well, it wasn't a jazz club; it was a blues club. And they were really tough critics, so they attracted people like um, John Lee Hooker played there, Etta James played there, even Ray Charles played there. It was basically considered a rite of passage. It was like, oh, you played Russell City, now you can go to Carnegie Hall. There's even an, a music program, like not a museum, but like I think it's the West Bay Regional. I forget what it's called, but there's a group established now that is all about the effects that that what Russell singing meant to blues music, to music history. It was really significant. Um, so we're talking like the 50s, the early 60s, um, and as people started to leave Russell City for other areas or houses with electricity, no one came in. The city would just burn down the homes that people left. That people left. So it eventually it made it impossible for it to continue. And so in the 60s, 1966, I believe it was, Hayward considered it blighted because which basically means it was like which basically means urban decay. I'm not talking about the makeup because of the fact that they had no services. So literally, they denied bringing services in so that they could do this later. And since they had considered it blighted, they used eminent domain to force people from their homes. The people who lived in Russell City were offered like $2,000 for their homes. And it was basically like a take it or leave it, but they all had to go. They were forced out. They could not stay because the city was re purposing the land due to eminent domain. Um, and $2,000 might seem like a decent amount of money back then. I mean, $2,000 is my rent now, but like the average number for a house in the 60s was like 22,000. So they were offered like literal pennies for their homes for the community they loved. And so they all just went their separate ways. And the city came in and bulldozed the city. Or the Hayward came in and bulldozed Russell City. And there was nothing left. And then they built over it. It was not until 2021, after everything happened with George Floyd, that Hayward issued an apology to the Russell City residents for what happened to them. Um, and the residents want more. Like I said, they loved living there. It was a really happy, really close knit community where everyone looked out for each other. And so now they've launched the the Russell City Restorative Justice Project to see if anything else can be done for the former residents, the ones who were forced from their homes. Um, I don't know what the updates are on that, but they painted the mural, so which I'll show you so that you can see what a loving community Russell City once was. So, and the residents are, they're still alive. They're still scattered around. A lot of them have been really vocal about what happened to them. But yeah, so that is Russell Siggy, the Bay Area's own actually lost Siggy. And I'm sure we all empathize with those who lost their homes there and hope that they can experience some justice for that. So, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week. Bye.